Well, it's Saturday morning, which means it's time for the Remax Magnolia Real Estate Show with myself. And this week we have Paul Smith joining us. And of course, you have a special guest as well, Paul. I will allow you to do the big introduction.
Yeah, cool. We have Sean O'Sullivan from Seko Construction and Permasteel talking about, they're a commercial general contractor, and we're going to talk all things commercial today.
Oh, very cool. Well, welcome to the show, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me.
All right, so let's get right at her. What do we got here? What do you want to ask him?
Yeah, so I guess we'll just start by, you can tell us a bit about the company and both of them and what you guys do.
Sure, yeah. So there's kind of two companies there. There's Seko Construction, and then there's Permasteel Group. So Seko Construction, they're at their core, they're a design build general contractor. And then Permasteel Group is a pre-engineered metal building supplier and erector. So there's kind of two different organizations there that act, kind of independently from one another. But Seko Construction, we do commercial work, industrial work. We do a little bit of housing for some remote communities. We have a design division, so we will oftentimes start projects with our pre-construction and design, and then we'll feed into the construction side of things. And then Permasteel Group, Permasteel has been around since, I think it was 1953. So it's near 72 years, 73 years now, I think. And they're solely a pre-engineered metal building supplier and erector.
Cool. And in terms, I guess we'll start with the Permasteel sides of things. What kinds of businesses are pre-engineered buildings suited for? Yeah,
so pre-engineered buildings, they suit really well for certain specific businesses and functions, and they really don't work well for others. One really good example that I like to give for pre-eng and when it works really well are aviation companies. So say you have an FBO, a fixed base operation. So you have fixed wing aircrafts. You need big spans.
So clear spans,
big
right?
Clear spans, exactly. So say you have a G550. You have, I think, 100-foot wingspan and I think 120-foot length. So you need a big opening, you need a big structure to be able to fit that aircraft in, maintain it, work on it, and such. So in that case, pre-engineered works excellent because you can have those big clear spans. There's no, or oftentimes there's no columns, and you can fit, nice big overhead doors in there. There's also the cost factor, of course, with, all construction, but specifically at airports, for example, is a lot of the time the businesses are on a lease. They're on leased land, so they don't actually own the property outright. So you want to find a construction style that is cost effective and not necessarily the longest term of lifespan. Now, a pre-engineered metal building will still last you, should last you 100 years. But for an airport, so you get a 50-year lease, you could put that building up, operate your business out of there for 50 years, and then you could actually take the building down. It's not cheap, but you can certainly do it, and you can move it to another plot.
It's worth doing, is it?
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be. Not always, but it can be, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of either company, what kinds of business are you going after right now?
So we're going after quite a few different kind of opportunities. Myself, I'm trying to kind of target commercial and light industrial work in the Lower Mainland, but really all over BC. One thing that kind of ties together with the pre-eng with that is in these remote areas, say northern BC, Haida Gwaii, like these areas where it's tough to get crews in, tough to get building supplies in. Pre-eng lends itself quite well because you can just ship the building, you can essentially ship a crew up there, and it's like a complete package. So I'm really trying to, the Lower Mainland is a bit less complementary to pre-eng.
I can see that.
But I'm certainly going after more remote projects as well as the local projects because pre-eng lends itself to those so well.
Cool. What's the setup time for, say, a airplane hangar, let's say?
I mean, it depends on the size, of course. Like you could have you could have a 200,000 square foot airplane hangar, a 6,000 square foot airplane hangar. But I'd say for let's say a 10,000 square foot hangar with maybe 2,500 square feet of mezzanine space, you're only looking at maybe 2 months for the full install.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a pretty quick turnaround. There's variables with that, of course, but it can be quite quick.
Cool. I guess I'm curious. How big's the company?
So the company we have 3 offices plus a satellite office. I work out of our Richmond office, or it's considered our Vancouver office, and then we have an office in Edmonton. That's our head office, and we have an office in Calgary, and then we have a satellite office based out of Fort McMurray.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. As far as employee size, I think we're probably, I'd say around 50 to 60 employees, I think, mixed between office staff and then on-site people.
Are you guys doing much tilt-up right now? Do you have tilt-up projects going?
Tilt-up? We don't in the lower mainland. I'm not sure if we do in Alberta, potentially. We have done tilt-up in the past. We obviously like to use pre-eng when we can, when it works. But for certain applications, tilt-up just makes sense, whether it be for, say, warehousing or we did a Costco a number of years ago. I think that was tilt-up. So there's, certain obvious applications where tilt-up is going to be much more beneficial than a pre-eng building.
Those fancy car dealerships, those were tilt-up projects, I guess. Were they hybrids? Or?
I think it was a hybrid. I think we did one. We completed it, I believe it was in 2020 out in Calgary. It was a Ferrari dealership, and that was, I believe it was a hybrid between some precast concrete and then pre-insulated metal panels and conventional steel.
Cool.
So now what's the process now for, like you said, building like a Costco, like guys? So what's the process like if it only takes you a couple months, because I guess it's just a big box, but what's the process to actually building it? How does it play out?
Well, for a Costco, that wouldn't have been a pre-eng building. That was, I think, conventional steel and tilt-up. So that one, I think you're looking at more like a minimum 12-month duration to put that up. So it's a bit different. But I mean, the overall process, I guess I'm not exactly sure how to answer that question. It depends if it's a tendered project or a design build project. Right. We really like to do design build because it allows us to work with the owner right from the get-go. Like even when people like Paul, commercial realtors, business owners, we can work with them right from when they purchase land. So that's really the inception of the project. And then you're doing, multiple iterations of design options,
a lot
budget
of
options
right from the start, isn't there? Yeah,
yeah,
you have to
for
walk
sure.
people through that.
And certain situations might lend itself to tilt up, or it might be pre-eng, or it might be stick framed. Who knows, right?
Right.
So we like to work with them and make these designs, and then give budgets kind of for each option and timeline schedules, see what's going to work best for them.
Now, when it comes to when you talk about doing a plane hangar, pre-engineered, how long would it take to build one of those? Because imagine those go up pretty quick with all the pieces already engineered.
Yeah, those can be quite a bit quicker. When it's a pre-eng building, exactly like you said, it's pre-engineered. So it's almost like to simplify it, it's almost like a Lego set. Like you have
not
the
a lot of
package.
trips to the lumberyard here. Everything's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's there. Yeah. So it really depends on the size, but it is very fast. It's kind of similar to, we're seeing some development companies using mass timber, and I think it would be considered pre-engineered mass timber as well, because they have their floor panels, they have their columns, everything fabricated off site, and then when it actually comes to site, it goes together almost again like Lego blocks pretty quickly.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, time-wise, we're probably about time. We should probably think about taking a commercial break here. So, Paul, if people want to see what you guys have on the go at Remax Magnolia, where can they go?
Yeah, we got a fair bit going on right now. RemaxMagnoliaRealty.com.
All right. We're back with more right after this.